Hey there, Shooby Doodlers. How are you doing? I had a plaintive message from one of my Patreon patrons a little while ago, and I've just been so busy asking how to draw handles on things like mugs and teapots. Mugs, they aren't really difficult. I think the reason they're so difficult is because they don't really have an edge. They don't have a sharp edge. They have this kind of smooth curving around. So it's, you know, if you were to cut it across, it would be an ellipse. And if it had a nice sharp edge, I think it would be a lot easier to draw. I think if I've drawn handles before, I've just drawn them. Once I've been asked how to draw them, then suddenly they look really complicated. And I've had to go back to the drawing board and kind of work it all the way through. You can see here that I've been doing various sketches trying to work it all out. But I had this great idea that maybe if I drew a line all the way around the edge on the mug, it might give me a sort of a key line to work to. So let's see how I got on. This is a really complicated shape, so is that. One thing I'm going to try is to draw right round like the middle line, because that's where you kind of feel there is an edge, but there isn't because it's curved. But I'll draw the tip of that curve, or the, I don't know what the technical term is, but anyway, let's draw that around there, and let's follow it all the way around to there. And as we look at it straight on, then this line is giving us the basic profile of the curve. And now if we put it like that, let's see what's happening. See, it's starting from there and it's coming around here, and then it's dropping right down to the bottom, that part there, and it drops right down to the bottom. And then we got a little curve across the top which is coming around, and then that is sweeping in to meet it also on the bottom line. And then we've got this little kind of blobby bit which is then curving straight in, and that's actually a sharp point there, and you feel it should be a curve all the way around. That is actually quite a sharp point. And this little part here underneath is also coming up into quite a sharp point. I'm going to take a picture of this and put it into Photoshop and draw around those lines and see what we get. So I've put this into Photoshop and I've drawn some lines around it, and if I click that on and off, you can see that that is following around that black line that I drew on the mug handle. So that kind of follows around the far edge of one side. Let's see what we get. That is now following completely around the outside of what we see. And that is following that little inside edge, and that is now following the inside curve, which you can see just fades away to nothing down here, and it's really kind of following up here, but it doesn't, because it's a curve and it's all very soft and gentle, and that's the reason this is a really hard thing to draw. So let's put them all in there, and you can see how they work. And let's take the mug away, so we just get left with that, and you can see it's really quite a complex thing. In fact, we want to take away that inner one, and that's basically what we need to draw. If you stayed this far, you're obviously interested in drawing. Why not come and join me on Patreon, and you'll be able to download this Photoshop file to examine yourself, along with all sorts of other drawings and images I've done from this video to help you. You'll also help me to keep making these videos to help you learn to draw. So a mug is basically a cylinder. So we'll draw an ellipse at the top, and two lines coming down. That's kind of a bit wobbly there. And that will be joined with a half an ellipse at the bottom. So inside there's going to be another ellipse at the bottom. And imagine you've got a line going right down the middle, so it's the center line of the cylinder. The handle is going to be kind of on the outside, something like that. So these lines here will be parallel. And this is the plane on which we're going to construct our handle. Okay, does this make any sense at all? So let's put a little blob in there. So that's kind of the blob where the handle is attached at the bottom, at the top, and we're going to attach a blob at the bottom. So that's kind of the attach points. And from that Photoshop thing that we did, we can work out that this sort of pretty much comes around all the way the outside from the bottom to the top here. So we can do that, and maybe we want it to be, it's a D shape, but let's have it coming out a bit more at the top like that, and then sort of curving in a bit at the bottom there. Here we are, I printed out the Photoshop thing. So we now want to bring that down like that, and like that bit like that. So this is going to come kind of from here around like that, and it's pretty much keeping equidistant here, so it's kind of the same thickness, and that's then going to come down at an angle there. This blob here is then going to come down like that, and that original line that we drew on the side of the mug is going to be something like that, coming right down to about there like that at the bottom. So I think it actually should really come round a little bit more, but let's see what happens if I ink this in. That's not looking too bad. This line here is, I inked it by mistake, is let's put a little highlight there, and we can put a highlight there, and then it's not so hard, it's not giving us that sharp edge because we've got that kind of smooth curve, the way the handle curves around. And also here this line kind of disappears, but we can maybe put a little highlight there. We can put some shading in there just to make the top more obvious, and we can put a bit of shading in around there. So we're going to want to put some shading into here like that, and probably a bit of shading in around the top around that bit of highlight there, and maybe there's a bit of sort of shading coming all the way down that edge line. That's not too bad. What happens when you put the handle on the other side? Well, you've got the same kind of thing going on. That's going to be sort of going out that way, and you can imagine that's on the outside, so the blob at the top will be about there, the blob at the bottom will be about there, and so you know that that's going to be coming out there and joining up at the bottom, and this is going to be coming out like that. So we can let it fade out at the top there and then bring in the thickness of it there. I'm probably not using the right terminology here, but this is the best I can do at the moment while I'm trying to work this out myself. So we can bring these lines down here, so that's the front of the mug, and there's the rim, and then we can bring that curve down there. That's going to come up to there, and it's just going to fade out, and then that can come down to there, and you might find there's a little bit of a highlight there, and there might be a bit of a highlight there as well. And I think this is one of those things that the more you look at it, the more you draw, the more unlikely it is. And to anybody just passing, yeah, it's a mug. But the more you kind of really get into it, the more you're going to confuse yourself. But if you come back in 2 weeks' time and look at it, you go, hey, yeah, I'm pleased with that. Let's try a different approach. Again, I'm going to kind of draw that line out there and draw a line down there. So I've got a rough idea of the plane that we're working on. That should be parallel with that, or this should be parallel with that. And again, we'll have our sort of glue-on point about there. So what you can think of is follow that line in parallel, and here as well we can bring this out parallel, see what's going on there, and then we could maybe bring that in at an angle. So that's going to be we want to draw an angle like that, so that will then come down to there, and then this will be coming out, so that we can think about the thickness of it as if it was made in a more sort of square section, and that's kind of how it would look. And then we can curve that in a bit, and we can curve that line, so then we can curve that line, and if we curve these bits too, then maybe we'll get something that looks roughly right in the same way we're doing that one. So if we go sort of across like that and then all the way around, that's going to want to come down to there and around to there. And then this will want to come down and kind of fade away there. And we'll have a kind of highlight there and a highlight there. So let's try again. Let's do that there and that there. Bring that down. Sticky point, sticky point. I think this is a pretty good way of working it out, I think. So we do the D shape all the way around. I'm going to erase that and start again. I'm confusing myself because this is not an easy thing to draw. So let's draw a little blobby bit there and a blobby bit there. That's the sticking on section point on the side of the mug. And then we reckon we want to have this kind of D shape going all the way around like that. And then look, we'll come back to here, and this line here is the very edge of the handle. But of course the handle doesn't have a sharp edge. It's a nice kind of oval cross section. So if we do that from about there, then from about there, then that's going to be pretty equidistant down to about there when it's going to come right in at the bottom. Okay, and then this is going to be coming in about there, and then we want this one is going to be coming up very, very close to that line and following down, but then sort of coming in like that. It's not easy. So let's do something like that. Let's come around the outside up and down there, and that means then the roundabout. I'm going to do some little dots to get going there, and this will bring us down to about there. And then we're going to have a kind of, we can put a little bit of highlight there just to show that that's where it sort of turns around and starts going underneath. We can do the same there. And yeah, like I say, there is so often you can be doing this kind of thing and you get so close to it and so involved that it stops making any sense, and you need, well, it's like, you know, that's why you have an easel generally, and I got my nose right up to this, and an easel means that you can stand back and have a good look at what on earth is going on, whereas here I can't really do that. So what a really good thing is just to put it away for a couple of weeks and sort of come back to it and see how it looks then. We might sort of put some shading in there, and we can add a bit of curve to the shading to sort of help give a feeling of it sort of going round like that. And we can draw that there, and a little bit of sort of shading on the ground just to put it on the table. And I'm still not sure about that either, so I'm going to do one more, because I'm realizing one thing I'm doing here is I'm making that come out and down rather than down and out. So let's try it that way. So let's draw an ellipse. So this is the thing. It's the basic thing about it is that the mug is a cylinder, and we're sort of building on the side of a cylinder. So let's do that, and we'll put our blob. We'll put our blob. That's actually quite come round a little bit. See, that's on a different plane. Let's do that plane thing again. So we've got that line there. Let's bring that down, and we'll put that blob on there, and that means that we're sort of, that's our plane that we want to be working on. And so this is going to come actually down and then up. So you can see here, this is coming straight out, and this is sort of coming up and sort of down a bit. So if this wants to appear to be coming straight out, it needs actually to be coming down at this angle, because that's flat across there. That's the line of the way it's sat on the table, and so we need to follow this this bottom line of the plane, like that. That's going to come all the way around like that. Let's see what's happening here again. So then we want, round about there, we want this to be pretty much equal until we get down to about there. And then we want this bit like that, where it's actually sort of stuck on the side here, and we can then get that shape. Bring that down so it disappears. This is going to come up here, and then it's going to come in at quite a sharp point there. Let's try that this time. I'm going to draw all the way around to about there. So maybe I should just be drawing this in first, and that's going to come around and sort of down into about there. This would be an awful lot easier if I didn't have it on the flat on the desk. I could sort of actually look at it from above. And I think we're going to want it's kind of like that and like that, and possibly something like that. And then we can draw the mug like that. And I think that's actually starting to get there. And I think it's kind of one of those things that if you want to become a master at drawing mug handles, you have to draw them every single day, which is something that I don't do. And and if I wanted to become a master at it, then I'd have to sort of do them every single day. And each day I'll be thinking, maybe if I did this, maybe if I did that. And each day you iterate slightly and get a little bit better. You see, I'm now looking on the monitor screen, and that doesn't look too bad. But from where I'm actually sitting, it looks terrible. So I think I'm going to leave it there. And if you've got comments and things that you'd like to suggest, then put them in the comments box down below. So there you go, Carol. I hope that helps in your quest to draw mug and teapot handles. They do come in all sorts of different shapes. That's kind of the basics of what's going on in a mug handle, and I hope that's helped a little bit. I got another idea of explaining it, which I might work on too. And don't forget, you can see all the images and download Photoshop files, etc. if you come and join me and all my other patrons on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and click that button down there, and make sure you are subscribed to the Huion Drawing channel, and click that notification bell when you see it, and then you'll be notified every time I make new videos. In the meantime, keep drawing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.